Question 9, Jan Logie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Justice and asks, will she reconsider an alternative trial process for sexual abuse cases following police statements that girls targeted by the Roastbusters group have not been brave enough to bring a complaint? If not, why not?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, no. Alternative trial processes will not alter the fact that victims still need to come forward to make complaints and ultimately give evidence against an accused person. There are very serious concerns about how inquisitorial trial processes would work in this country. A lot of work has been done and is continuing to be done across the justice sector to find ways to make it less traumatic for abuse victims to lodge complaints and ultimately give evidence in court. I have here a copy of a police booklet which is available on the police website, prepared with assistance from Louise Nicholas on information for victims of sexual assault. It explains the support available for victims and makes clear statements about how they can be helped. As Louise Nicholas has said, for these crimes to be dealt with, the girls do need to come forward and talk to police. And, Mr. Speaker, I would counsel that member not to make comments that ultimately could result in trials being aborted.
Supplementary, Jan Logie.
Does she accept evidence that over 90% of sexual abuse victims do not make formal complaints, often because they know they will be re-traumatised by the process?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure that that can actually be labelled as evidence if the complaints haven't been made. However, I do accept that there are many people who are victims of sexual abuse who do not choose to take a complaint forward to police, and that is for a variety of reasons, and they are both male and female. But I also know that we do not in this House do victims any favour by interfering in police investigations and possibly tainting trials.
Supplementary, Jan Logie.
Is justice denied to sexual violence survivors if the current pre-trial and trial system precludes them from making a complaint?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I don't agree with that member's assertion because she is presuming that the system currently precludes people from making complaints, and quite clearly it doesn't.
Supplementary,
Sorry,
Jan Logie.
against all the evidence. Supplementary. When it's clear from evidence that survivors fear the entire trial process, and when they need to be brave enough to even make a complaint, will the Minister be brave enough to look again at some of the real solutions experts have given her?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I actually find that question just so insulting and, frankly, absolutely belittles this House, and that member should think about it before she asks questions like that.
Supplementary.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Jan Logie.
That was a straight question, and I'd like an answer.
And the member got a straight answer. Question number
3. Supplementary.
Supplementary, Andrew Little.
Mr. Speaker, to the Minister of Justice, will she implement the recommendation of the Law Commission in March this year to modify the law on evidence in sexual offence cases so that victims are not re-victimised when giving evidence on offences against them?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, no, and the reason for that, as that member must well know, because I made media comment at the time, is that we would then have an entirely different system of law, an inquisitorial system for sex trials, but we would not, than we would for kidnapping trials that often go along with the sex trials. This would actually re-victimise victims by making them have to give evidence twice, not once.
Supplementary.
Supplementary, Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Why, in the face of the serious allegations of predatory, gang-based sexual violation that have surfaced in the last 2 days, has her only response been to bring forward a bill she first discussed nearly 6 months ago and which merely discourages putting images of such offending up on social media?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, that member is again wrong. This bill, the Harmful Digital Communications Bill, was due to be tabled today. First I knew about these disgusting events was yesterday after Cabinet, and for him to imply that that's my response is absolutely disgraceful. And frankly, Is that what it is? Well, then he should stand up and apologise, because the man clearly lacks the courage to say what he means.
Supplementary, Jan Logie. Is that a point of order? Right Honourable Winston Peters.
You would have heard the expression, the man lacks the courage to say what he means. That is unparliamentary. That is unparliamentary. We all know it, and I want to know what you can do about it.
Well, in the manner in which it was phrased, it's a reasonably frequent occurrence in this House. There are several layers beyond that which have been ruled out of order. Yeah. Jan Logie, supplementary.
Mr. Speaker, will the Minister consider some of the other recommended solutions separate to an inquisitorial system, such as specialist sexual violence courts, independent sexual violence advisors, or one-stop shops for sexual abuse survivors? If not, why not?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, there's quite a lot of these services already available, but I'm always willing to look at what victims ask for. For instance, we now have specialist victim support. We have no real limitation period on making a complaint. We have the victim's identity is automatically suppressed in any criminal proceedings. Victims do not have to face the accused. They can give evidence from behind a screen. They're allowed a support person with them in court while giving evidence. And we have a dedicated sexual violence victims advisor to support victims. There is also counselling and financial support available. And actually, for a Member of Parliament to come to the House and to say that there's nothing available for victims simply actually discourages victims from coming forward to police. There's a lot available now, and I'd like them to come forward.
Question 10, Jacinta Ardern.
Mr. Speaker, my question is to the Minister